आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वामेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ यश्छन्दसां वृषभो विश्वरूपः छन्दोभ्योऽध्यमृतात् सम्बभूव समेन्द्रो मेधया स्पृणोतु अमृतस्य देवधारणो भूयासं शरीरं मे विचर्षणं जिह्वा मे मधुमत्तमा कर्णाभ्यां भूरिविश्रुवं ब्रह्मणः कोशोऽसि मेधया पिहितः श्रुतं मे गोपाय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अहं वृक्षस्य रेरिवा कीर्तिः पृष्ठं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्वपवित्रो वाजिनीव स्वमृतमस्मि द्रविणगुं सवर्चसं सुमेधा अमृतोक्षितः इति त्रिशङ्कोर्वेदानुवचनम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Now we are starting the 7th Anuvaka Bhashyam today, the 11th Anuvaka Bhashyam, Ekadashaha Anuvakaha. And here again, all those disciplines and values which have been already discussed in the 9th chapter, they are again here repeated. And we will see in the Bhashyam why they are repeated. And actually all these disciplines and values which have been already taught in the 9th chapter, 9th section, are repeated as instructions, in the form of instructions to the students who are about to leave the Gurukulam after completing their Vedadhyanam. So all instructions are given by the teacher in his valedictory address to his students. Because when a brahmachari completes his Vedadhyanam and he goes back to begin his life as a householder, he should not forget these disciplines. So he must continue to follow them in his life. The brahmacharis who were there in the Gurukulam had an option. Some of them would go back to their families and to start their householder's life, to enter into Grihastha Ashrama. Or some of them might be staying back to continue to pursue the knowledge. They may continue to continue to stay for again pursuing knowledge, self-knowledge. So for all of them together, here the teacher is giving instructions in his valedictory address. And there's a time for the student, brahmachari, when he goes back, until he gets married and settles in life. And before, there's a time for him to work, earn some money, and also to give some money as dakshina to the Gurukulam, for the teacher to be able to continue his work of teaching things. So keeping all these things in the mind, here the teacher is giving instructions. Why? Because the very Veda Adhyanam is only a study of the mantras. The student as a brahmachari would have thoroughly studied, memorized all the mantras. But still, the dharma jignasa, means the desire to know the dharma, how I should live, why I should live, that must be definitely in him. So the very purpose of staying in his Gurukulam should have created in him the desire to know the dharma and to follow dharma. That must, it say, also he must go back to life to implement his knowledge of dharma in day-to-day life. So he should not forget. And only by strictly following those values and disciplines in life, it is possible for a person to become adequately refined enough to be qualified for the attainment of knowledge. The study of the Shastram itself is ultimately for the attainment of moksha and jnanam. So life should not become a failure. There's no such a thing called absolutely failure in one's life. But life becomes lived properly, life becomes meaningful and complete only if all these disciplines are followed, if he becomes qualified for jnanam. Therefore, the teacher here gives his instructions. So, Ekadashaha Anuvakaha, 11th section. Vedamanochyacharyoante vasinamanushasti. Vedamanochyacharyoante vasinamanushasti. Satyam vada, satyam vada, dharmam chara, swadhyaya anma pramadaha. Swadhyaya anma pramadaha. Acharyaya priyam dhanamahritya prajatantum ma vyavacchetsihi. Yaya priyam dhanamahritya prajatantum ma vyavacchetsihi. Satyanna pramaditavyam. Satyanna pramaditavyam. Dharmanna pramaditavyam. Dharmanna pramaditavyam. Kushalanna pramaditavyam. Kushalanna pramaditavyam. Bhutena pramaditavyam. Bhutena pramaditavyam. Swadhyaya प्रवचनाभ्यां न प्रमदितव्यं स्वाध्याय प्रवचनाभ्यां न प्रमदितव्यं devapit. We'll do one by one. Okay. So here let us do this paragraph, then we can go to next paragraph. You see, first section, the first paragraph in this 11th Anuvaka, 11th section, first paragraph this is. So, Vedam Anuchya Acharyaha Antevasinam Anushasti. This is the first sentence. Vedam Anuchya Acharyaha Antevasinam Anushasti. The word Anushasti means instructs. Actually, Shasti means governs. Anushasti means, literally you can say, it has the effect of ruling. The ruling means what? The Raja Anushasti means the king Anushasti governs, rules. That sort of meaning it should have. So even the instruction, the teacher instructs, that's the meaning. But how does he instruct? The instruction is given in such a way the student should definitely follow without fail. I mean, there's no choice on the part of the student that whether he should follow or not, he should follow. To make it strictly that he should follow, and Upanishad itself uses the very strong, powerful, effective verb Anushasti. The teacher instructs. It's not simply instruction. The teacher instructs him in such a way that the student should follow these instructions without forgetting in his life. And who is instructing here? Acharyaha Anushasti. The teacher is instructing. And whom? Antevasinam. Antevasi is a resident student. All these days, all those days, the student must have been a resident student living with the teacher in the Gurukulam. Now he is about to leave the Gurukulam. He will not be a resident student anymore. So living around the teacher as a resident student, as a hostelite, hostel student, not even a hostel means a different word. We have to pay and stay there, people live. But here, Antevasi, a student lives with the teacher in a Gurukulam. They live as one family. And the students are as good as his own children for the teacher, Guru. Because 100% he is interested in their growth, wellness. Therefore, here Antevasinam Acharyaha Anushasti. And we all know the meaning of the word very well, Acharyaha. Acharati Swayam Acharati Anyan Acharya Sthapayati. The one who follows strictly the teaching, they are setting an example. He also makes the students follow the teaching. That's why he is called Acharyaha. And such a teacher, when he instructs, instructions definitely will be followed strictly. Antevasanam Acharyaha Anushasti. When Vedam Anuchya. Anuchya means having taught. After having completed Vedic teaching, Veda Adhyanam having completed, and before they are about to leave the Gurukulam, that is the time, this is a valedictory address. Is he giving? And in his speech, he is giving instructions. What are they? We'll see the Bhashyam also anyway. Satyam vada, I need not translate. Speak the truth. Dharmam chara, may you follow dharma. Swadhyayan ma pramadaha, may you ever not deviate. Give up this discipline of Swadhyayaha. Recitation of the Veda mantras must be a compulsory. Every day you must be doing at home. Then, Acharyaya priyam dhanam ahritya prajatantum ma vyavacchetsihi. The teacher is instructing now, as a grown-up adult, you go back Now the duty as a responsible individual human being, one must get married. Therefore he says, because there are some people who continue to stay in the Gurukulam, no, they have the Naishtika Brahmacharis, they can take life of sannyasa, they not go back. But some of them should go back. So for such people he is addressing, Prajatantum ma vyavacchetsihi. No, may you not break, ma vyavacchetsihi, may you not break Prajatantuh, the lineage of family. Which means you should not break the lineage of family, means see that family tree is perpetuated, for which you must get married. That's also mentioned there. Get married is not mentioned. But if a person should not break the lineage of family, for which one must get married. No, and Shankaracharya is going to explain. We are going to see the Bhashyam there. And before that, Dhanam Ahritya. Priyam Dhanam Ahritya. Before that, before getting married, there's a small break is there for you. During that time, you also make money and give that money to the teacher. Priyam Dhanam Ahritya. Acharyaya. Give desirable dakshina for the teacher also. Before that. So go back, earn, come, return, give some dakshina to the Gurukulam for the teacher, for his continuing his service. Then you also get married and then see that you don't break the lineage of family. Satyanna pramaditavyam. Then may you not be indifferent towards speaking the truth, which means the discipline of truthfulness must be followed strictly. Dharmat na pramaditavyam. Dharman na pramaditavyam. So may not deviate from dharma. Dharma should be followed strictly. Kushalat na pramaditavyam. Kushalan na pramaditavyam. Kushalat na pramaditavyam. Kushalam here is one's own wellness. So one should not neglect one's own wellness, one's own wellness of body, mind, sense complex. We'll see in detail in the Bhashyam. Bhutena pramaditavyam. Bhutihi means one should not be indifferent in taking care of whatever one should do for one's own good, in terms of developing one's skills or getting oneself equipped, educated, or doing things what one can do. One should take care of that. Then Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. How many times you have already learnt it? Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. So one should not deviate. So may you not deviate from the discipline of Swadhyaya and also Pravachanam, teaching. Study must be continued. After returning from the Gurukulam, don't think study is over. The study should be continued. Then you should also must share this knowledge with other people. Teaching also must be continued. So he says, this much is the literal meaning of these mantras which we have read here. Then, Deva Pitrukaryabhyam na pramaditavyam. Again it is said what? Deva Pitrukaryabhyam na pramaditavyam. And even these disciplines, all the Panchamaha Yajnas are brought in here. We should remember that. So, Deva Pitrukaryabhyam na pramaditavyam. So may you not deviate from your duties that you're supposed to do towards ancestors, and also the daily worship in terms of performing daily rituals, etc., should not be given up. Matrudevo bhava, Pitrudevo bhava, Acharya devo bhava, Athiti devo bhava. In all those 4 lines, he makes it very clear. May you be the one for whom mother is Bhagavan. May you be the one for whom the Father is Bhagavan. May you be the one for whom the Guru is Bhagavan. May you be the one for whom even the guest is Bhagavan. So may you have this proper, appropriate attitude towards mother, father, teacher, and also the guest. Because the reverential attitude towards all of them are very, very important. I elaborately explained this in my original text when we did the class original text. If you listen, I have elaborately explained. Because here the values, especially the attitude, is very important. What sort of attitude we should have towards everything in life, especially the relationships also. Father, mother, teacher, guest, all of them. Okay, then Yanyanavadyani karmani tani sevitavyani no itarani. So anavadyani karmani, yani anavadyani karmani tani sevitavyani. So those actions which should be done, which befit you alone, should be definitely done. Those actions which do not befit you, no, then we should not do them. Which are not suitable for you, you should not be doing. Suitable in the sense, as a brahmachari, as a student of Veda Shastram, there are certain things which you can do, and they must be done. Which you should not be doing, avoid them. So actions which are not unbecoming should be followed. Other actions should not be done. Yanyasmakag sucharitani tani tvayopasyani. Yani asmakam sucharitani. Sucharitani means those actions, our own actions, which are right and they should be followed. No itarani, tani tvayopasyani. Others should not be done. The proper actions should be done, improper actions should not be done. That's the literal translation of these mantras, which you have already seen. I'm going to read the rest of the mantras, then we'll move on to the bhashyam. No itarani yeke chasmachreya gumso brahmana. Yeke chasmachreya gumso brahmana. Page 667, yeah. Tesham tvayasanena prashvasitavyam shraddhaya deyam ashraddhaya deyam shriya deyam hriya deyam bhiya deyam samvida deyam athayadite karma vichikitsa va vritta vichikitsa va syat. Ye tatra brahmana sammarshinaha yukta ayuktaha aloksha dharma kamasyuh yatha te tatra varteran tatha tatra vartetha athabhya akhyateshu te tatra ye tatra brahmana sammarshinaha yukta ayuktaha aloksha dharma kamasyuh yatha te teshu varteran tatha teshu vartetha yesha adeshaha esha upadeshaha esha vedopanishat etadanuशासनम् evamupasitavyam evamuchaitadupasyam evamuchaitadupasyam. Here ends all the mantras of 11th section. I didn't make you chant after me because I think you all know how to chant very well. Now, here in this section, in this next paragraph, It says, Ekecha asmat shreyamsaha brahmanaha tesham tvaya asane na prashvasitavyam. So, shreyamsaha brahmanaha means if there are people, elders, who are superiors or who are learned, cultured people, refined people, elders, if there is an assembly of such people, and then he says, Tvaya asane na prashvasitavyam, in their presence, it is literally said, you should not breathe the word. You should not breathe the word means what? How can you hold a breath and sit in front of them? What it means is, remain quietly there and listen to their speaking. Let them speak, so you listen. So learn to listen and try to understand what is being discussed and what is being said. Because always, it's again respect, reverence, when the elders, who are superiors, who are more learned, more experienced, and when they are there in their assembly, such an assembly, always we should remain quiet. Which means we should not be talking in between, giving our ideas and opinions, so we will miss the learning aspect and we won't be able to learn. So politely sitting, listening to their conversations will help us learn things. That is what it is said. Then Shraddhaya Deyam. Then afterwards, the discipline, how we should give. What should be the attitude when the question of giving comes? What should be our attitude towards parents, teacher, we saw earlier in the lines. Now here, what should be our attitude, how we should behave in the presence of other learned elders, we saw. Now, how should be giving? And the question of giving comes, how should be dhanam? Giving is a very important aspect for a Vaidika. Whoever follows this Vedic way of life is known as Vaidikaha. Because whoever follows Veda itself, accepts the Veda, follows the Vedic teaching, is called Vaidikaha. And for such a person, moksha will become the absolute end. No choice. Moksha will be the absolute end. Moksha is the absolute end means what? Bhagavan will become the absolute end. Truth will be the absolute end. Then the truth is going to be the absolute end means, and the whole life should be lived to prepare the mind for the knowledge of the truth. Then strictly one has to live a life of karma yoga, which means one has to follow all these disciplines. Therefore, giving also how should be given? Shraddhaya Deyam. When we give anything to anybody, any dakshina is given, or something is given, it must be given respectfully with the Shraddha. Now, making the person who receives the dhanam must feel honored. Shraddhaya Deyam. So, Ashraddhaya Adeyam. Actually, Ashraddhaya Adeyam means one should not give anything without Shraddha. And also, anything should be given with wholeheartedly given. So, half-heartedly, without interest, complaining, nothing should be given. Ashraddhaya Adeyam. And another Acharya writes, Ashraddhaya also you give. At least learn to give first of all. Doesn't matter, even if Shraddha is not there, also better give. It's another meaning. Ashraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Adeyam. I have two meanings for that. Then Shriya Deyam. Shrihi means wealth. Shriya Deyam means when anything is given, when you give, see that you give to the best of your ability as much as possible on your part. You have so much and give little. No, give to your capacity. Give as much as possible to one's capacity. Hriya Deyam. Hrihi means modesty. When you give also, give, I can only give this much. I'm not able to give. Now with that, the attitude of not being able to give more, I want to give more, I'm not able to give, I only give this much. With that politeness one must give. Then Bhaya Deyam. Bihi means fear, not fear here. Oh, I'm giving, I do not know whether what I'm giving is enough or not. With that understanding, one must give. Then samvidadeyam. So samvidadeyam, vyadeyam, then samvidadeyam. Samvidadeyam means we must give what I am giving, how much I am giving, whom I am giving. We should not give carelessly. Definitely, we should know whom I am giving, for what cause I am giving, etc. With the knowledge, one must give. It means there's a Shraddha is there. Without knowledge, if I am giving, there's no Shraddha there. Samvidadeyam. Then, suppose any doubts we have in our activities. Yadi, te karma vichikitsa. Vichikitsa means doubts. Suppose if at all in performing rituals any doubts are there, or vritta vichikitsa, if any doubts in our day-to-day mundane activities also, any doubts we have. Vritta vichikitsa, how I should live my life, in your conduct also, how I should behave in this situation. Like that. So, any doubt regarding the conduct in life, any doubt regarding even religious activities, performance of actions or course of action, any doubts are there, then what one should do? We should always approach elders. The very important Vedic culture, always approaching elders and learned people, seeking their guidance. And there also, who are the elderly people, elders here? Elders means not the age-wise elders alone, who are also learned people, who are Vedikas, who are highly cultured people, refined minded people, evolved people. When they guide you, they will be non-judgmental. That is why you can feel very free to approach a learned person, a cultured person, elders, because they are non-judgmental. They will not judge you. Oh, come and ask me for guidance. So they will be non-judgmental. They'll be confidential also. That is magnanimity. That is the bigness of those people. Therefore, we should approach. If we have any doubts, then we should approach such people. Ye tatra brahmanaha sammarshinaha yuktaha ayuktaha alukshaha dharmakamaha. The people whom we approach for our guidance, to sort out our doubts in conduct of in life or any other doubts and other activities also, whom should we approach? He big list of adjectives. Brahmanaha. Brahmana means they are learned people. And then sammarshinaha. Brahmanaha. Here Brahmanaha means people who are committed to dharma. Who are highly discriminative, who are very clear in discerning what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, who are what is right, what is wrong, who are capable of objectively discerning right and wrong, discriminative people. And also sammarshinaha. Sammarshinaha means because of they have very great experience in life. Because they had lived for many years, they have also experienced, highly experienced. Then yuktaha. Yuktaha means they're integrated, which means they're also not partial. Whether you go or anybody else goes, whoever goes, because they're committed to dharma, therefore their care and concern for everybody is the same. There's no partiality on their part, impartial. Yuktaha, ayuktaha. Ayuktaha also can say people who really care, people who care for you, real people who care for everybody else in the society, who care, who are concern, care and concern. People who have care and concern, they are ayuktaha. Alukshaha. alukshaha, dharmaka, wise people. Alukshaha, wise people. They are not ordinary people. Why? They are discriminate people, they are experienced people, they are not partial, they have great concern and care, but also they are wise people. And then dharma kamaha. Dharma kamaha means for them, they will not compromise with dharma for anything else. Okay? Which means they're totally committed to dharma. Such people, for those people, yatha te tatra varteran, how they would remain in such situations, how they would act, what would be their, in such occasions, like that. Atha abhyakyateshu. So tatha yatha te tatra varteran tatha tatra vartetaha, how they would behave, how they would have been in such situations, what they would have done regarding those doubts, may you also do the same. So see them, follow them, how they do at such occasions, and may you also follow the same. Then athabhya akyateshu. Again same words are repeated. Ye tatra brahmanaha sammarshinaha yuktaha ayuktaha alukshaha dharmakamaha syuhu te yatha te tatra varteran tatha teshu vartetaha. The same thing he is repeating. Okay, not only about your thing, how I should, atha abhyakyateshu. I think I explained this to you already in that time. People, suppose there are some people who have been, who've been already said to be, who are known as some wrong people, wrongdoers, and who are, how should I relate to these wrong people, wrongdoers, who are, we do not know whether wrong or not, but who would have been already said to be wrong. Maybe they involved, associated with some wrong activities or something. Such things happen. We do not know. It has not been proved. But still, there is some, if they have some, they are associated with some issues, some improper behavior, something like that, then how should I deal with those people? Should I continue with my relationship with such people? Or should I stop? Should I not? How should I keep away from them? What should I do? There also, see, Veda Shastram never tells you to alienate anybody in the world. At the same time, keeping people who are wrongdoers, it's better to keep away from such people, that's true. But there's no hatred. Even here also, so when such doubts come, again same, we should see how the so-called brahmanaha, sammarshinaha, yuktaha, ayukta, this discriminative, impartial, learned, wise people who are committed to dharma, how they behave in such situations, how they treat them, how they deal with them. In the same way, even people who are labeled as wrongdoers or something also, even there, with them also, see these learned people, cultured people, how they behave, what they do with them. The same way you also behave, you also do. And then, yeshaha adeshaha. Yeshaha adeshaha. This is the teaching of the Veda Shastram, Shrutihi. Yeshaha upadeshaha. This is the instruction of this is the essential instruction of the Veda Shastram. This is the teaching of the Veda Shastram. And Yesha Vedopanishad. Yesha Vedopanishad. This is again teaching of the Vedas. Yetad Anushasanam. Anushasana means this is the order, this is the rule, this is the commandment of the Veda Shastram. The commandment of Veda should be taken as Bhagavan's order, Bhagavan's commandment. So, evam upasitavyam. Evam upasitavyam means this is how life should be lived. There's no choice. This is how life must be lived. Then evam u cha etad upasyam. Same thing is repeated. Evam upasitavyam, evam u cha etad upasyam means definitely this is how one should live one's life. This is how life must be. This must be remembered. This must be retained in one's mind, and this must be followed in one's life. This is how one should live one's life. Okay, evam upasitavyam, evam u cha etad upasyam. Okay, I have elaborately discussed all these mantras in our original text class. Moola Grantha text, Moola Grantha when we did, I have elaborately discussed all of them. You can listen. Now we'll go to the Bhashyam. Because we're going to do the same meanings again. That is why I'm going fast. In page number 270, Shankara Bhagavad-pada comments upon the first two lines. First line. See, now you can see how he said, doing his commentary. Vedam Vedamanochya Vedam Anuchya Ityevam Vedam Anuchya Ityevamadi Kartavyata Upadesha Arambaha. I think some of you here, they want me to read the complete Bhashyam. I break and read for the sake of your understanding. I don't read fully. I break and read so that you can understand. Vedam anuchya iti evamadi kartavyata upadesha arambaha. So Shankaracharya writes, here begins the teaching of the disciplines, what should be followed. And when this teaching is given, this instruction is given after having taught the Veda Shastram. After completing the Veda Adhyanam, Vedam Anuchya, okay, these are all the activities, these are the disciplines which should be followed. So here, the Upadesha Arambaha, here is the beginning of the instructions of the teacher after having taught the Veda. And he says, Prag Brahma Vijnanat Niyamena Kartavyani. So, what is the teacher is instructing here? The teacher in his valedictory address, he is instructing those disciplines and rituals which should be followed strictly before the attainment of knowledge. Prag Vijnanat means what? Prag Brahma Vijnanat Niyamena Kartavyani. Strictly, without fail, these must be followed when before the attainment of knowledge. Which means until one attains knowledge, these must be followed. What does it mean? After the attainment of knowledge, disciplines, these other rituals, the upasanani, meditations, etc., it's not compulsory. One need not do anything afterwards. After the attainment of knowledge of the truth, there's no need for a wise person to do anything. Because he is already person of fulfillment. He has already discovered moksha. But still, a wise person will continue to do something without doership and enjoyership for the welfare of the society. Okay, for the wellness of others, a wise person may continue to do activities, and his karma is called what? Karma abhasaha. Abhasaha means he will not have punyam or papam. After the attainment of jnanam, if a wise person continues to perform activities also, those activities are performed only for the social welfare, not for his happiness, not for his security, not for any fulfillment of his desires. Because after having discovered moksha, as a result of the attainment of knowledge, he is already person of fullness. There is no inadequacy on his part. Therefore, he is free from the hold of desires also. So, he need not perform anything for the sake of fulfillment of his desires. He need not perform anything for the sake of his security or happiness. If at all he will be performing only for the sake of others, for the sake of welfare of others. And if at all he performs, it's called karma abhasaha. Abhasaha means he doesn't have punyam or papam. Wise person, even if he performs any karma, he will not attract any punya papam, because he has no doership or enjoyership. There's no need for him to perform. So until one attains jnanam, before one attains jnanam, prag brahma vijnanat niyamena kartavyani, all these which are all the instructions which are given here, they should be strictly followed before the attainment of jnanam, until one attains jnanam. And what are they? Shrauta smartani karmani. All those, the instructions are of disciplines, rituals, values, attitudes, upasana, etc., prescribed in the Shruti and Smriti. Veda enjoined karmani and Smriti enjoined karmani are here instructed, they all must be followed. Iti evam arthaha. And what should they followed for? Why is teacher instructing them strictly? Why should the student follow strictly? Why should he follow them? He says, I want to note this word Purusha Samskarartham, for the individual mental refinement. It is very important, because refinement takes gradually, a person becomes gradually, a person becomes more and more refined. The mental refinement is called shaping, isn't it? The mental refinement takes time. Only when a person strictly follows these instructions pertaining to the Shautasmartha Karmani, then it will gradually contribute for his adequate mental refinement. Purusha Samskaraha. In fact, when we do, you would have noticed our Krishna Namboodirjani, when he does the puja, before offering the food, he chants mantra and then he sprinkles water on the food to offer the food, because he sanctifies. When anything, even the flower we give, they'll sanctify. Sprinkling water, chanting mantra. Sanctifying is what? Making it offerable to Bhagavan. It's called what? Dravya Samskaraha. Refining, cleansing the objects before offering it to Bhagavan, to make it offerable. Dravya Samskaraha. Similarly, even Kartru Samskara, people before doing the puja, you have to do some Anganyasa, Karanyasa, etc. said to be done. This is for Kartru Samskara, for the refinement of the performer of the puja. Similarly, here also, Purusha Samskara means what is important for Brahma Jnanam, Atma Jnanam, is mental refinement. And Purusha Samskaraha, the mental refinement of an individual is so important, without which Jnanam will be impossible. So all these should be strictly followed, ultimately for refinement. Therefore, Purusha Samskararthameva, the teacher is strictly instructing again all those teachings. Okay. Page number 272. Suppose if the question comes, why should he follow these instructions? For samskaraha. Why do you need samskaraha? That is given here. Next line it says, 272, why does a person need mental refinement? It is said, samskrutasya hi vishuddha sattvasya atmajnanam anjasayeva utpadyate. Atma Jnanam anjasa eva utpadyate. Okay, effortlessly, easily, self-knowledge rises for the person who is adequately refined and mentally purified. For the purified minded, the refined minded, for that person, anjasa eva, effortlessly self-knowledge rises. Therefore, he must become refined. For him to become refined, he must follow these instructions. You see the order now. He presents the order. So, if he does not follow the instructions, then refinement will not be possible. Tapasa kalmasham hanti vidyaya amritam ashnute itihi smritihi. And here again Shankaracharya he quotes a smriti statement, manusmritihi. What does this smriti statement say? It says, tapasa kalmasham hanti. So, a person, kalmasham hanti, vidyaya amritam ashnute. Tapas here means, tapas is a very important word again. Tapas here means what? By strictly following the way of life enjoined by the Shastram, involving all those religious disciplines and values, etc., the person destroys all unwanted impurities, thereby he becomes pure-minded. Then, vidyaya amritam ashnute. Thereafter, by attaining jnanam, he attains moksha. He attains amritam, he attains immortality, moksha, by attaining jnanam. And before attaining jnanam, he becomes mentally pure. How? Followed by tapas. What does the word tapas here mean? I told you many times, it's very important to understand the word tapas. We are going to understand the meaning of the word tapas as enquiry into the teaching, committed enquiry in the teaching of the Shastram is tapas, we saw. In fact, tapas should be understood very correctly. Suppose tapas means, as I said, deliberately inflicting discomfort upon oneself, to become mentally, to have mastery over one's mind and sense organs is said to be tapas. That's one meaning. Actually, living a life of karma yoga itself is a tapas. Following this discipline strictly is a tapas. And if being committed to any pursuit of any one given thing is a tapas. Suppose the person, day and night, he is interested in music. So he works hard just to learn more and more in one thing. Being totally committed to the pursuit of knowledge of any one given discipline, totally, is also what? Tapas. Tapas means pursuing anything appropriate with a total commitment to the focused attention is tapas. Such a life of tapas, because the mind is totally, attention is totally given to pursuit of one thing, with the focused attention. That becomes a tapas. So here, living a life of values and disciplines, life of karma yoga, involving values and disciplines becomes a tapas. And such a life of tapas, in fact, helps one destroy all one's impurities. Thereby, a person can attain moksha through jnanam. So, tapasa kalmasham hanti, vidyaya amritam ashnute. Shankaracharya quotes this from Manusmriti. You must see that order. Teacher gives instructions, all the instructions emphasizing the values and disciplines, attitudes, etc. And that is for that samskara. Samskara is for jnanam. Jnanam is for moksha. Okay. Now, in page number 273, after mentioning the Manusmriti, Shankara Bhagavad continues. Vakshyati cha tapasa brahma vijignyasasva. See, now Shankaracharya in his commentary, he quotes a sentence from next chapter, Bhrigu. Now we understand why we must have studied already the text before doing the Bhashyam. Tapasa Brahma Vijignyasasva. Even the teacher is instructing, the father Varunaha, instructing his own son repeatedly what? Brahma Vijignyas. May you have a desire for discovering Brahman. How? Tapasa, by tapas, through tapas. Only by focused commitment in terms of vichara alone one can accomplish jnanam. So tapas means focused commitment. Commitment with the focused attention in any given discipline for accomplishing anything is what? Tapas. And here tapas is for jnanam. So he says, tapasa brahma vijignyasasva. You all know very well, 3rd chapter, that mantra is from Bhrigu. Ato ataha vidyotpatyartham anushtheyani karmani iti. Ataha, I am not repeating, please don't feel bored. Adi Shankara Bhagavad is repeating, so I am repeating here. Okay? Ataha, therefore, vidya utpatyartham anushtheyani karmani. All these karmani, Shrauta Smartha karmani, all these rituals, all these disciplines, all these values, all these attitudes, all of them should be strictly followed. For what? Karmani anushtheyani means should be followed. For what? Vidya utpatyartham, for the rising of knowledge. Here, let me tell you one thing. Suppose when we want to light the lamp, To light the lamp, what all things we have to collect? Lamp, oil, wick, even matchbox, or some lighter. We have to get all these things, bring them together and put it together properly, then we have to light. All the efforts are, so many things are involved, you have to make efforts. Once the wick, you light the wick, light the lamp. After lighting the lamp, then illumining, we need not do anything. Isn't it? That lit, kindled, that wick which is light, when light is lit, then that takes care of the illumination, removal of ignorance, darkness. Darkness also is removed, and then it also illumines everything. Similarly, only until the mental purification we have to work. Until mind becomes purified, our efforts must be there. Once jnanam takes place, if all our efforts must contribute for mental refinement, and refined mind, vidya utpatti, knowledge rises. Once knowledge rises, then in the wake of knowledge rises, then we need not do anything. Knowledge takes care of what? Removal of ignorance and also moksha. Therefore here, vidya utpatyartham anushtheyani karmani iti. Therefore, anushasti iti anushasana shabdat. Anushasana atikramehi dosha utpattihi. The verb anushasti itself is a very, very strong verb, which means the teacher, the Upanishad uses the term anushasti because all the instructions given by the teacher should be strictly followed. Otherwise, anushasana atikrame. Now, in case the student fails to follow these instructions, he goes against those instructions, then dosha utpattihi, it will result in error, it will result in mistake. which means it will result in what? It will incur papam. So going against instructions will result in the attainment of papam, sin. Therefore, there is no way of transgressing or not following or going against the instructions of the teacher. And he is saying, in page number 275, Prag Upanyasat cha Karmanam. All these karmani, all instructions regarding the Karmakanda, Shauta Smarta Karmani, all of them were presented before the teaching. Kevala Brahma Vidyarambat cha Purvam Karmani Upanyastani. Why? Now, in the following text, very important. Kevala Brahma Vidyarambat cha Purvam Karmani Upanyastani. All these karmani were taught before the beginning of the second chapter, where Brahma Vidya is exclusively taught. In the second chapter, there is no karma is instructed, isn't it? The second chapter is exclusively for the knowledge of the reality. You all noticed, we went to the second chapter. So Brahmanandavalli or Anandavalli, in the second chapter, there is not even one word of anything else other than subject pertaining to Brahma Vidya. Exclusively Brahma Vidya is taught. Therefore, before that second chapter, which is exclusively instructing Brahma Vidya, and all these karmani are here instructed. They were instructed before. Once Brahma Vidya takes place, then do you need these instructions? Do you need all these disciplines? You don't need. But until then you are needs. So again Shankaracharya reminds us here in page number 276. Why he has to say, in the second chapter, in Brahmanandavalli, all that we have is what? Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman, Tadatha Lakshanam of Brahman, Pancha Kosha Prakriya, how to arrive at reality, isn't it? These are all subject matter. This is subject matter discussed in the second chapter. Nowhere Upanishad even reminds you of values or karmas or any other rituals, nothing. So before that, all these karmani were instructed, which means when do we need to follow the disciplines? When do we need to perform the rituals? When do we need to do all these karmani? When? Before the attainment of knowledge or after the attainment of knowledge? We cannot reverse the order. We should not reverse the order. We cannot reverse the order. It is not possible to reverse the order. Veda itself, Karma Kanda is the first part. Vedanta comes as the last portion, isn't it? Vedanta Shastram, Upanishads, Jnana Kanda forms the end portion of the Veda. Karma Kanda forms the first part of the Veda. Which means what? First we must do karma. The very order itself is the proof that we must follow these disciplines and values. Otherwise, refinement is not possible. Without refinement, jnanam is not possible. If we do not follow this, then we will be incurring papam. Okay. Now, so in the page 276, Shankaracharya mentions, Uditayam cha Brahma Vidyayam Abhayam Pratishtham Vindate Na Bibheti Kutaschana Kimaham Sadhuna Karavam Ityadina Karma Naishkinchanyam Darshayishyati. He says in second chapter, toward the end of the chapter, Upanishad itself is going to show us the fact that when the knowledge of the reality rises, then a person becomes abhayam pratishtham vindate. He becomes well established. After the attainment of self-knowledge, Uditayam Brahma Vidyayam, in the wake of the knowledge of the reality of one's own self, the person becomes well established. Which means what? That is when the person can have absolute satisfaction. That is when the person has sense of fulfillment. That is when the person can have purnatvam, sense of completeness. The sense of completeness, fullness, the absolute satisfaction is possible only in the wake of the knowledge of the reality obtaining as one's own self. Until then, it is not possible. So, abhayam pratishtham vindate. Not only that, he becomes established means he abides in fearlessness. The wise person, as a wise person, in the wake of the knowledge, this person also will have abidance in fearlessness. What does it mean? Abidance in fearlessness means abidance in fullness. Abidance in fearlessness is abidance in fullness. Abidance in security, absolute security, which means abidance in one's own real nature, which is remaining one's own self. So, the fearlessness, abidance in fearlessness is a real accomplishment. Then thereafter, na bibheti kutaschana, then he will not be afraid of anything. Once a person abides in fearlessness, which is his own nature, fearlessness is his own swarupam. In the wake of the knowledge, when a person abides in fearlessness, then he will not be afraid of anything anymore. Then, not only that, this person will not be guilty of not having done anything or having done something wrong also. He will become completely free from regretting and also guilt of what has been done before, what has not been done before. And even after the attainment of knowledge, what has been done or what has not been done or what has to be done, anything, doing something will not will not add to his fullness and fearlessness, or not doing something will not reduce his fullness or fearlessness. So, performance or non-performance of activities, or doing something, not doing something, will not add or delete, improve or reduce his fullness, his fearlessness. Why? That is his nature. Fearlessness is his swarupam, fullness is his swarupam. In the wake of the knowledge of what one's real nature is, the person has what? Abundance in fearlessness, fullness. Then he will be absolutely free from the guilt of anything, what has been done, what has not been done also. So what has been doing or not doing will not change his nature. So what does Shankaracharya want to say here? Until one attains jnanam, one must be focusing on one's mental refinement. See, mental refinement is given so much of importance. Why? Mental refinement is there. Shastra study will be very effective. Jnanam will be very easy. Knowledge will rise. Once knowledge rises, then what else you want? Knowledge rises means that's all. That is the accomplishment. That is what is abundance in fearlessness, abundance in fullness. That is what is becoming free from the hold of fear for good. That is what? Becoming free from guilt and hurt and all pains, all forms of pains and sufferings. Therefore, but for that, refinement is important. For that, one must daily follow these instructions. Now, page number 278. So, you can ask the question, how come, we're going to see anyway later on in the Bhashyam, oh, I did not do this, I did this, I should not have done this. A wise person becomes free from the guilt of not having done something or having done something wrong, isn't it? How? Because the very doership goes. In the wake of the knowledge, I am the doer notion itself will not be there. I am the enjoyer notion also will be resolved. If I am the doer, the notion is there, then, oh, I should have done, I should not have done, that guilt is possible. The doership itself goes, how can there be guilt? Isn't it? Therefore, jnanam, only in jnanam, freedom is possible. He says in 278. Ataha avagamyate, therefore it is understood. What is understood? Finally, he concludes. He concludes means what? He wants to say something very important factor. Ataha avagamyate, therefore it is understood from the examples quoted from the second chapter. Purva upachita duritakshayadvarena, Purvopachita duritakshayadvarena, Vidya utpatyarthani karmani iti. Therefore, it is very clearly understood here that all these instructions regarding performance of rituals, following disciplines, following values, etc., ultimately is what? Meant for the attainment of knowledge. How? By neutralizing all the obstacles in the caused by our own accumulated papam. What he says, Purva upachita duritani. Purva upachita durita means the papam. Duritam is another word for papam. Papam is the result of wrong actions. Unknowingly or knowingly, intentionally, unintentionally, somehow we might have done some papa karma, wrong actions. The actions which transgress the universal values is said to be a wrong action. Okay, we might not have done knowingly also, unknowingly also, or knowingly also, unintentionally also, we might have done actions which transgress the universal values. And those actions were what? Wrong actions. And those actions definitely produce the result. That result is what? Papakar papam. Isn't it? Results of wrong actions is what? Papam. And that papam, when purva upachitam, which has papam, the results of wrong actions performed in previous lives and accumulated. And that papam alone now comes in the form of obstacles, pratibandhani. Okay? Pratibandha, I don't know, it's a pratibandha, it's a masculine word. Anyway, pratibandha, all the obstacles, what we go through in any pursuit is artha pursuit, kama pursuit, dharma pursuit, or moksha pursuit. In any pursuit, any obstacle comes, that obstacle is nothing but caused by what? Why obstacles? The person whom we see in front of us as obstacle or situation, they are all only nimittam. Nimittam only. Even this corona is a nimittam. Pratibandha. Okay? Corona is a nimittam. For any suffering, physical, emotional, or social, economic, it has affected so widely. All the problems we go through now, for which corona is only instrumental. This is a prarabdha. So, papa, isn't it? Papam karma is the cause of any suffering in any form. And so here we have to take what? Even for obstacles in, what is it which prevents us from, first of all, in studying, even interest in studying the Shastram is possible only if you have punyam. You will not have interest in studying the Shastram at all. The interest is possible because of punyam. And somebody makes arrangement for you to study, that is possible because of the punyam. After coming and sitting in the class, being able to understand the Shastram because of punyam. But still, in spite of making efforts, why not just not rise? That is also caused by obstruction, obstacles. Pratibandha is always caused by duritam, papam. No, upata purva upachita duritam alone causes the obstacles. And he says, these strictly following these values and disciplines and performance of rituals, etc., Shrut Smarta Shrauta Karmani, they will contribute for neutralizing the pratibandhas caused by the prarabdha karma papam, prarabdha papa karma. Thereby, we will have what? Refinement is possible. Thereby, vidya utpattihi. Then knowledge can rise. This is the reason why the teacher is strictly giving instructions. Shankaracharya is writing here. Where you want, you can read the translation in page number 279. Therefore, it is understood that the karmas are meant for the rise of knowledge by removing all the obstacles, by neutralizing the papas gathered before. Mantra varnacha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya amritam ashnute. This also you must remember why this is from Ishavasya Upanishad. Is it? Avidyaya mrityum tirtva. There the word mrityu means what? Papam actually. Avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya amritam ashnute. By performing avidya, there means karma. By following karma, living a life of karma yoga, one can have one's impurities removed, thereby one can attain jnanam. By attaining jnanam, one can attain moksha. The order is, so live a life of karma yoga, have mental refinement, attain jnanam, then thereby attain moksha. This is the order. He quotes from Ishavasya Upanishad, 11th verse. Now, we move on to page number 281. See, any small teaching, he can simply say and go. The whole, repeatedly we've been listening, one thing. What we heard in the morning, we are listening again here. But why? Why he quotes Upanishad? He quotes from Manusmriti, he quotes from Ishavasya Upanishad, he quotes from Taittiriya Upanishad, other next chapter. Because anything he says, he doesn't say, I am saying. No, Upanishad says, Veda says, Smriti says, our teacher says, Parampara says, which means it has to be followed. Okay. And he goes, we said that Ritam, why he is mentioning about the Ritam again, Ritam Satyam. Same thing, values are coming again. Ritadinam purvatropadeshaha anarthakya parihararthaha. So the Ritam, etc., Ritam, Satyam, all these values already they have been instructed. No? Again, the context of knowledge, we should not mistake that they are of no use. Because knowledge is the only means of attaining moksha, that fact has been really injected. And because of that fact, forgetfully also, we should not think that they are all of no use. That is why the instruction is repeat. The teacher is again, before the student leaves, again he is giving strict instructions. Ihatu jnanotpatyarthatvat kartavyata niyamarthaha. He himself says, why they mentioned again, why they repeated? Again, repeatedly, they're all mentioned here to point out that they're all very, very important for mental refinement, ultimately for the rising of knowledge, jnana utpatyartham. Isn't it? For the sake of the knowledge has to rise, means mind must be refined. How are you going to have mental refinement? No shortcut method is possible. We can't go and buy from the market. Mental refinement does not happen overnight. Janmantra samskar. Sometimes, in fact, bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate, Krishna says. What does it mean? The mental refinement required for having the clear vision of the reality of the whole being, one's own self, depends upon the mental refinement, and which takes many janmas sometimes, many births. One has to become, every time you are born, you become refined, more karma, more karma, more karma, refined. Now you understand? Now, in the light of this teaching, you can see why so much we all must be taxed. We should know so much of work is being done. When I see this all, that's why I appreciate the karma yogis, people who come here to do seva. I really appreciate. If they did not come here, what would they have been doing? So somebody comes and tells Swamiji on one side, I remember, Swamiji, I've been doing lot of work, that work, this work, I don't. Because I think he was missing some recognition. He didn't get any recognition for some good work he was doing. Swamiji said, it's okay. What else do you think you would have done? Quietly he asked. Because we must be very people should see how much work they do. That's not important. How fortunate they are to be given an opportunity to be doing something useful, something meaningful, and where they learn. Why I'm saying, see how much you must be tired now of listening. We all know one thing very important. What is that? Moksha is the ultimate goal. Even Pranav has been looking at me like this. Okay, he is meaning. So moksha is the ultimate goal, and for which jnanam should rise. That's the only meaning. We know this. Been listening repeatedly. Been listening. Jnanam is the means. Yes, jnanam itself is moksha. After the attainment of jnanam, he did not do anything. Finished. Jnanam itself is moksha. And for that jnanam, what is difficult is the mental refinement, vidya utpatyartham. Utpatyarthatvat, jnana utpatyarthatvat kartavyata niyamartha. Because for knowledge to rise, the refinement takes ages. Refinement needs a lot of tapas. In terms of, that's why how one must be following all these values and disciplines and all those things. Why? I said what I'm saying. Karma is important. One must involve oneself in something appropriate, consciously, thoughtfully, knowingly, so that one can avoid doing wrong things. This is the very basis of what? Prescribing Nityanaimittika karmani. Panchamaha yajnas. So here, that's why he says, that's why I stopped for some time. No, why? For mental refinement, all these karmani, all these karmas, in terms of rituals, religious disciplines, values, attitudes, disciplines, all of them must be followed, no choice. He repeats and repeats and repeats. In page number 282. Vedam anochya. Again he writes, Vedam anochya. After having taught the Veda, adhyapya acharya ante vasinam. He only now he started commenting. Okay, Sishyam anushasti. He instructs his student. Grantha grahanat anupaschat. Anupaschat shasti. See, he says, Grantha grahanat, grahana anupaschat means after having grasped the Vedic teaching. Grantha grahana means after having taught the Vedic teaching. Veda adhyanam, recitation of the Veda. After that he is instructing. Now tadartham grahayati. He makes them understand. Whether they understand or not, he wants them to understand. So he makes them understand. Grahayati. Grantha grahanad anupaschat. Immediately after the grasping of the Vedic recitation, and the teacher makes them understand. Grahayati. Ataha avagamyate adhita vedasya dharma jignasam akrutva gurukulat na samavartitavyam iti. Look at this, what the teaching is, instructions again. Very important line. You can underline that line. In page number 282. So as the teacher is giving these instructions, when does he give the instruction? Immediately after having completed his teaching in terms of the Vedic recitation. So after the Grantha Grahanat, after having understood, when they have grasped the Vedic recitation properly, after that, now he makes them understand these values again. Why? He says, it is understood from this instruction. Shankaracharya writes here, Adhita Vedasya, for the person who has already studied the Vedic chanting, before he leaves the Gurukulam, Dharma Jignasam Akrutva, without having created the desire for knowing the Dharma. The person is sent out of Gurukulam, it is not appropriate. So a student should not be sent out of Gurukulam without knowing without having the desire to know Dharma. When the student leaves the Gurukulam, he must have that desire to know Dharma. That is responsibility of the teacher here. Dharma jignasa means desire to know Dharma. Akrutva, without having this desire for knowing Dharma, Gurukulat, from the Gurukulam, the student should not be sent out. Which means the teacher should see he has learnt the recitation of Veda. Veda Adhyanam is over, perfect. He is going to leave, but he should not be sent out without this desire to know Dharma. Dharma jignasam akrutva gurukulat na samavartitavyam. Now that's what the teacher is. So he grahayati. The student should go back with the desire to know dharma. Which means desire to know dharma means what? He should learn, now go back and live dharma. So before doing, he must know how he should do, what he should do, etc. It's an important line actually. From this instruction, we understand the student who has studied the Veda should not leave the Gurukulam without having understood, no, without having the desire to know dharma. Now, page number 283. See, dharma jignasa, desire to know dharma. How Brahma jignasa means desire to know Brahman. But dharma jignasa, karma kanda, purpose of karma kanda is what? One must have dharma jignasa. Desire to know dharma. What are my duties? What I should do? What I should not do? How I should do? That must be there. Then he becomes a responsible individual. That is how, that is called analysis of the meaning of the Karmakanda mantras. So this will include what? Even in his worldly life. See, for a Vaidika, for the person who is given to the Vedic way of life, he never separates his mundane life. Mundane life is a life governed by dharma, values. So for him, religion, religious culture, family life, day-to-day life, mundane life, they're not separate. They're all combined. One way of life, which is ethical life. Way of life involves ethics, involves religion, involves other values. Everything is together. There's no separation. Okay. Now, 283, Shankaracharya continues, Buddhva karmani kurvita apastambas sutram. There's also another sutra, Smriti Grantaha. He says that he quotes a line. Why the teacher is instructing? Because the Smriti also says one should perform one's actions knowing them. One should perform the rituals. Whatever one does, one must know. Buddhva karmani kurvita. One must perform rituals, perform karmas, knowing thoroughly after having understood the rituals, understood the karma. Which means there should not be any procrastination or delay on the part of the student. I should do something means why I should do, how I should do, he must know before doing, he must know how to do it also. That's called Buddhva Kurvita Karmani. May one perform the rituals or actions after knowing how one should do. Then 284. Here, until now, Shankaracharya's commentary is only on why the teacher instructed, how he instructed, what was the purpose of giving instructions before the student leaves the Gurukulam. Until now, only now Shankaracharya begins. How did he instruct? Why was the instruction was answered until now? How did he instruct? What was his instructions? What was his instruction? That is going to be commented upon from this line in page number 284. Katham anushasti. How does the teacher instruct? Why did the teacher instruct was answered before. How did the teacher instruct? Satyam vada. Satyam vada. That is the first instruction. Satyam vada. And Shankaracharya writes meaning for that. Yatha pramana avagatam vaktavyam. Yatha pramana avagatam vaktavyam cha tadvada. I'm going to stop with this, okay? Rest will continue tomorrow. Because I have to answer one question here. Satyam vada is here. Satyam vada is, he comments upon Satyam vada. It's a beautiful commentary upon Satyam vada. Yatha pramana avagatam. Yatha pramana avagatam. Vaktavyam cha tadvada. What Satyam vada means? Speak the truth. What does it mean? Speak the truth means what? Speak the truth means whatever one knows through a valid means of knowledge. What is Satyam? Satyam is something which one knows through the valid means of knowledge. Which means without knowing clearly what I am speaking is the truth, we should not speak. If we open our mouth and we say something, it must be what? Proved through the valid means of knowledge. How do you know it is the truth? Because I know how. That's why he said, whatever one knows through the valid means of knowledge alone, that is what is Satyam. I must have seen, I must have heard myself directly. Again, I must have inquired thoroughly as true or not before I say something. Any comment I make about anybody also, I must be 100% clear. That's why what one comes to know through valid means of knowledge alone is truth. And that alone you must speak. Then vaktavyam cha tadvada. Only if you have to speak, you must speak. If there is no need for you to speak, don't speak. What should be spoken by you, if the situation demands that you have to speak, then you speak. Otherwise, don't need to speak. Vaktavyam cha vada. And that vaktavyam also, only if you are asked, you speak. The necessity comes, you should speak. And it must be the truth, which means Shastram says, once you open your mouth and speak, it must be the truth. Untruth should not be uttered at all. Whatever you speak must be the truth. And the truth also must be spoken only if you need to speak. You need not speak all the truths always, everywhere. What is spoken must be the truth, and you need not speak all the truths, only what should be spoken you must speak. And that truth also should not be hurtful. It must be non-hurting, non-offending. It should not be harsh. Because truth, it should not be harsh also. Okay? The truth which is not harsh, which is not offending, which is not hurtful, that truth must be spoken only if you have to speak and if it is known through valid means of knowledge. Satyam vada. That too only if it has to be spoken. Vaktavyam cha. In the same way, dharmam chara. So, what is the definition here? Yatha pramana avagatam satyam. Yatha pramana. Pramana means of knowledge. Yatha pramana avagatam satyam. That's satyam. And that also you must speak only if it has to be spoken. Vaktavyam. Chetavada. If it is not necessary for you, even if it is a truth, if you don't need to speak, you don't need to speak. Which means how conscious one must be in what one is speaking. It's a discipline in terms of speech. It's called vak tapas. Truthfulness in speech is not simply speaking the truth alone. It must be the truth, and we must be conscious of all other facts associated with the truth. Which means it's a vak tapas. This itself is a tapas. Okay, now being conscious of not telling lies itself is what? Vak tapas. Even for fun, it is said that we should not be telling lies. Okay, now I'm stopping here because I wanted to answer, I told him I'll answer him in the question in the afternoon. So now the next is Dharmam Chara. We'll come back and continue tomorrow morning. I think I should be able to complete tomorrow morning this one. And then we have big Bhashyam on this karma. Okay, Purvamamsakas will come. Again, you have some, again, how we had introductory Bhashyam, we have one more as Shankara's commentary upon how he refutes Purvamamsaka's theories before again he enters into the commenting upon the next chapter. So tomorrow morning we'll try to complete this. Okay, this morning, it is nothing to do with this section what we have been doing. This is a question based on what I said, I think 2 days before. No? 2 days before? Okay. Doesn't matter. Anyway, in previous class, one of the previous class I must have said, recent classes, his question is, okay, the manifest universe experience in the waking state is manifestation of knowledge, he is able to accept. Similarly, even Sukshma Prapanchaha, subtle universe is said to be manifestation of knowledge, that is, he is able to accept. But what is difficult for him to accept is, how do you say that unmanifest universe also is manifestation of knowledge? That is his question. I said, known, you must take it as known, anything known. In fact, how to understand what is material, what is matter, what is consciousness. Shastram tells us consciousness, in fact, not in consciousness, the reality. Even word consciousness is used later on. The absolute reality is of the nature of knowing, of the nature of consciousness. Therefore, it is available for recognition only as the swarupam of the knower subject. That's why Guhayam Nihitam it says. Reality is of the nature of knowing. Therefore, reality has to be arrived at only in terms of its nature. And therefore, reality is of the nature of consciousness. It is available for recognition only as the swarupam of the knower. Only as the knower. Which means only if you go and search for knowing what this knower is, who this knower is, and definitely you will stumble upon the truth. Is what Shastram says. So what about the known then? Now we take everything and divide everything into two, knower and the known. Because you are the knower, you can't say I am not the knower. What are you then? You have to, first of all, you have to see yourself as, with reference to this universe, I am the knower. Why do you say I am the knower with reference to this universe? Because the universe is known to me. The universe is known by me, it is known to me. The universe is evident to me. Therefore, from the standpoint of the universe, with reference to this universe, I am the knower. Every one of us can say that. I am the knower. Even though all of us can say, I am the knower, I am the knower, I am the knower is actually only one. Just as the illuminator of every opaque thing is the same, one and the same light, similarly, just because so many opaque things are illumined, we cannot say there are so many illuminators. It may look like that. There's illuminator of chair, illuminator of mic, illuminator of table, illuminator of bodies. How many illuminators are there? Illumined objects are many, therefore illuminator seems to be many. There's actually illuminator is one and the only light. And the illuminator is also qualification attributed to the light from the standpoint of the illumined opaque things. Is it clear? Similarly, from the standpoint of the many minds, there seems to be many knowers. Really speaking, that which obtains as the knower, enjoying the qualification or the status of being the knower, that which obtains in every mind is one and the only knower. Must be very clear first of all. So, whoever wants to discover the truth, Shastram gives the same instruction. You have to discover the truth obtaining in your own mind. Nihitam guhayam. Don't go and search outside. You search for the truth in your own mind. And there, how do you arrive at it? As the Swarup of the knower. That's why Swarupa Lakshanam is given, Jnanam, etc. What about the known then? Anything known other than Atma, other than the reality knower, anything other than knower is the known only. Anything known definitely is of the nature of inertness. Yadrishyam tajjadam. The knower is of the nature of consciousness. The known is of the nature of inertness. Consciousness, inertness. So anything which is the known is of the nature of inertness means what? It is an object of knowledge, is of the nature of inertness. It does not have independent existence of its own. Therefore, it is mithya. This much is clear, isn't it? Now, anything known is manifestation of knowledge. Anything known is manifestation of knowledge. So, we say just as an opaque thing which is illumined is a reflection of light, the universe which is known, the world of plurality, the world of diversity, the world of countless forms, names and functions, involving the knower-known duality which is known in the waking state, is known. The world is Jagad Asti, Jagad Bhati, it is known. Known means what? It is manifestation of knowledge. Anything known should be understood as manifestation of knowledge. Why? The known does not have existence outside of, independent of the knowledge. Therefore, it is manifestation of knowledge. Similarly, what about subtle universe also is known? Subtle matter also is known. Therefore, subtle matter also is known, therefore, manifestation of knowledge. Now, what about the unmanifest universe? Is it known or not? Unmanifest universe, manifest universe, known differentiated. Unmanifest universe, known undifferentiated. Is it clear? That because it is known, it is also manifestation of knowledge. Got it now? Clear? Okay. Think because unmanifest also manifestation of knowledge. You think and come back if doubt is there. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.